What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Gamecite Chronicles, the console gaming podcast where we sit down each and every week to talk about our favorite hobby, video games. I'm your host, Bonfire, and this is episode number 57, and an exciting episode indeed because today I am joined once again by the man, the myth, the legend, Jordan. Welcome to the show, man.
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be back. I mean, the topic is exciting, so
yes,
I felt like it was a good time. I mean, we kind of, in a sense, talked about something to do with this last time, but it's a little bit different, and so I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited too. And we got video, because we moved in the video space. Hopefully, last time I did this, the audio sync kind of drifted on me a little bit when I exported it. It's a Zencaster issue. I was looking into it, so hopefully that doesn't happen. But the audio should be fine regardless. So, audio listeners, you're in good hands. Video listeners, we'll see what happens.
To be determined. We'll
exactly,
see.
To be determined. Yeah, but I'm excited. So today, and we'll get into it a little bit more, but we're going to be talking The Last of Us. The series wrapped up. We had the series finale, season 1 finale, I should say, because there's going to be season 2 plus. So we're going to have a review discussion about it, and it's going to be exciting. I'm excited to pick your brain about it, get your thoughts on it.
I got some thoughts for you.
We're both, I think, big Last of Us fans. Love the game.
Yes.
And very, very versed in this universe. So I'm excited to chat about that. Also, I hope you're all doing well out there. For those of you that are new to the show, welcome. I know there's a few of you out there. I've seen you on YouTube and in some of the downloads and stuff like that. So I'd like to welcome you to the show. It's exciting, at least for me. I don't know about you, Jordan, but it's March Madness right now, which I think I love this time of year. So
love it.
Even though I got to say, so I don't really fill out any like money brackets or anything like that. Mm-hmm. But right before, I think it was yesterday, right, was I logged into work, I was like, I'm going to fill out a bracket real quick just for shits and giggles. I picked Arizona to go all the way.
Oh, that's brutal.
So my bracket's already busted. It's like 9 points.
Oh man, yeah. I didn't fill out
a good team. Like I don't really pay attention to NCAA basketball until March Madness, but I know they've been really good. And then I don't know what happened. They just got worked.
Yeah, it's the curse of the Pac-12. That's what it is. I was very similar this year. I was just like, I'm not going to fill out any bracket. Like I didn't fill out a bracket this year just because I was like, I got too involved in fantasy this last year, and then I lost in the finals. So it was kind of just heartbreaking. I haven't fully recovered from that. So I was like, I'm just not going to do anything. And then last night I do dab a little bit in sports betting. So last night was it this morning? I think it was this morning or last night. I can't remember. I made a very nice parlay, and I don't know where it's at. I haven't looked because I'm too superstitious. But last I checked, I was like 5 wins in a row. The first 5 games I got correct. So
there you go.
I got a few more to go, but I have no idea how it's turning out. So I'll look in a few hours. But
yeah, that could be a dangerous world to get into. It's something I can't. I used to do like fantasy football and stuff. Yeah. But that got to the point where I was so worried about like how my team was doing and my players. Like I couldn't even enjoy a game because I'm like so consumed by it.
Yep.
And so I was like, I can't do that anymore. Like I just want to watch football. I want to enjoy it. So, but March Madness is going on. That's exciting. And then also we're recording on a Friday. It's St. Patty's Day. I got my green on. I don't know about you, but
I don't have my green on.
Fair enough. But as we do each and every episode, drink of the episode, I'm drinking a Guinness to celebrate St. Patty's Day. So cheers to you out there. Stay safe and don't drink too much. Don't get crazy out there.
Don't get too crazy, everybody. I'm drinking some nice water.
Okay. You got to stay hydrated. I get it.
Staying hydrated. Like I was telling you before we started recording, I'm going out tomorrow night for a friend's birthday. So that'll be completely different. So I'm just
there you go.
Hydrating my body before.
Yeah. Well, do stay safe,
Yes.
Don't drink and drive. You know the rules.
Absolutely not.
So now for those of you that are new to the show, remember the best way you can support the show is to drop a like on the podcast platform you're listening to. You can find us on the video versions of this show on YouTube, Rumble. You can find me on Facebook as well as Twitter at Gamecite Podcast. And I actually did launch a Clips channel, so brand new. So it's Gamecite Chronicles Clips. You can check that out. Got a couple of you guys subscribing over there and pulling out clips from the shows like that. So you can check that out, which is always exciting. And then new episodes of the show each and every week, Mondays, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Now, as I mentioned this week, we're talking The Last of Us. There is one news item related to The Last of Us, more like Naughty Dog, but I wanted to squeeze it in here and get your thoughts on it because Neil Druckmann can't keep his trap shut.
I think I know what this is, but go ahead.
Yeah. So we'll dive into that stuff. But before we get into that, and I know you maybe haven't been playing too much, but we got to talk about the games that we're playing. I'll kick it over to you. What have you been playing?
I put a lot of time into Hogwarts Legacy. I recently just beat that, I think a week and a half ago. So I put a lot of time in terms of like non-linear open world kind of games. You have your Red Deads, you have which are those type of games. This is probably the most that I've put into like a single playthrough, and I don't know how long. Like I really don't know how long it's been since I just sat down and was consumed by the world and the game and the exploration and the dialogue and just it blew me away. That game is I already know I'm going to be completely biased here. That is my game of the year. I know it's an early call. We still got lots left in the year, but without a doubt, just how much time and the excitement I had, that's my game of the year, without a doubt. So,
it's funny. I just beat that game. I'll get to that. I'll get to some of my thoughts too, but that's it. Mainly Hogwarts Legacy. That's been your life.
Legacy. I mean, I've been dabbling in a little bit of Warzone here and there, but that's just off hours kind of stuff playing with my brother. So nothing too serious on that end. Just waiting sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, how many hours did you put into Hogwarts, do you think?
I put like 40 something.
Okay.
40. I think the save said 43 or 30, 40. 43 or 44, I can't remember, something around there.
Okay.
So,
yeah, that's a good chunk. Yeah, so for me, I beat Hogwarts Legacy. Finally beat that game. I think I beat it about last week too. I think my final play time was around 52 hours. Mm-hmm. I did a lot of side quests and like the checkbox activities and some of that stuff, like the Merlin trials. I was doing quite a few of those and some of the other challenges and stuff. I kind of got sucked into that, which is really fun. But yeah, this game is awesome. It's fantastic. And I'm not even a big Harry Potter fan. Like I'd seen the movies, never read the books. And, I know for some people, like this was their childhood.
Yeah.
Like Harry Potter. I think I was just a little bit past that for me, because I'm a little older than you. But I still watch the movies, and they were fine. But this got me sucked into Harry Potter. Like I'm actually reading the books now. I bought the books. I'm reading them. This is the first one, but halfway through it, like I'm in. I'm all in now. I loved it.
That is awesome.
And it's I gotta give. I think it's Avalanche Software. I gotta give them a lot of credit because like there's so much detail in this game. It's like and it really does feel magical. Like as you're just exploring different things, going through the castle, the different areas, using the spells. It's really, really cool. Really, really quality. And did you do all the side character quests?
I did. I did. I did all the side character ones. So like Poppy and Nasai and all those characters, Sebastian.
Yep.
So
yeah. I really enjoyed those, and I think it's Sebastian's, it kind of got dark, and I was like, I like this dark tone. Like this is great. Like I want more of that. Actually, I was thinking a couple things I would love to see in a sequel, which I have to imagine they've got to be. I think they've sold 12 plus million copies of this game.
12 plus million copies, $850 million plus dollars. Like breaking records on Twitch, breaking records for the Harry Potter genre itself. So
it's huge. Like they got to be thinking a sequel. So I was thinking, here's a couple of things that I would want to see in the next game. First and foremost, I think a morality system, because there's a lot of decisions that you can make, and like if you use like the curses, unforgivable curses, like it's no big deal. But I want that to be a morality system. Like if you use those, like it leans like almost like Fable. If you've ever played those games where you can either be good or evil, I think that would be really cool. I actually want your decisions to matter, because I don't really feel like either way they didn't really matter. Like they had no effect on the outcome.
I think there's one outcome that changes, and it's at the very end of the game. You can there's a mini
that's right, like you can get like a good ending or a bad ending,
good ending or the true ending or a bad ending, but like it doesn't the good ending and the bad ending are pretty similar. They're just slight tweaks, but the ending is still the same. So I agree. I would love to see that as well.
Because you're going through all these various decisions, even with like side quests, and it's like I was even looking, I was like, does this decision matter? Like, because I wanted to make sure I made a good decision. And it's like, no, it doesn't really matter. It's like, okay, well, what's the point? Like, let's make it matter. Make your decisions matter. And then my other kind of gripe with this is I feel like the pacing could be a little better, because like you do a main mission or two for the story, like the main quest, and then all of a sudden you get spammed with like 5 different side quests from all your little buddies, and then you got to go do those. Then you do another main quest, and then you get spammed again with like the next section of quest. You can kind of see how the game's structured. So I just feel like the pacing could be a little bit better.
I also agree. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, other than that, though, fantastic game. I definitely think it's going to be in the conversation.
Contender. No, I was going to say that, like, it was being such a big Harry Potter fan. Like, I have a Harry Potter tattoo on my leg. Like that's where we're at with the fandom.
Yeah.
But just being able to like explore things that you don't see in the movies or aren't really mentioned in the books, or like just and the way they expanded it too. Like the very first time, I remember the first time I opened the map, because going into it, I didn't watch any like gameplay. I only watched like announcement trailers and stuff like that, but I wasn't like the dev breakdowns of stuff. Like I didn't watch any of that. So I went in fairly blind. But I remember the first time you get to Hogwarts, whatever, I open up the map and I like zoom out and I see how big the game map is. I was blown away. And I was like, that's what like increased my excitement that first week, because I was like, there's so much to explore. Like there's
I was
so
surprised
much.
at how big the map was. Yeah.
It's
there's quite a bit to do. And it's got a lot of those, checkbox type mechanics in there, but I don't mind that at all. I enjoy that stuff.
Did you you played on PlayStation 5, right?
I did, yeah.
Did you play that exclusive PS5 mission? Did you do that one?
I did.
That one scared the crap out of me.
That it was actually really well done.
The Hogsmeade one, like everybody's talking about how that's probably the best mission in the game. And I think it's funny how it's a PlayStation exclusive. So
that is a good point. Yeah, it's very memorable. Did you ever play a game called Control? Okay, so there's in that game you go through what's called the ashtray maze, and the whole premise of that game is like you're in this like corporate tower and you get all these like psychic kinetic powers and stuff like that. It's actually a really cool game. But there's this ashtray maze section in there, and it reminded me of kind of the maze that you go through in that Hogwarts or the Hogsmeade's kind of underneath the store and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Where you go through all that stuff. It really reminded me of that, because it was trippy. It was creepy with the mannequin guys like coming up behind you and appearing out of nowhere, but that was a very good quest.
Yeah, I had no idea what the quest was. I was like, oh, cool, I'm getting a nice little shop. And I was playing this at like 1:00 in the morning. And so it's just like, it's dark. I'm just like, oh, cool, another little like, it's Harry Potter. There's no expectations of it being scary. And I was like, this is terrifying for 1:00 1:00 in the morning when I'm already kind of tired. Like, it was awesome. It was awesome. I like I said, game of the year for me for sure.
Yeah. I was actually thinking about it too. I was like, man, I know I got this PlayStation Quest, and I was like, before I actually did it, I was thinking like maybe I should look up how to do it so I don't miss it. And then I just organically stumbled upon it, which was awesome. And I'm so glad I didn't miss it. But it's definitely one of the better quests, I would say.
I agree.
Now, one of the other games I've also been playing is Hi-Fi Rush. That's been super popular this year. I finally jumped into it. I think I've played 3 to 4 hours, and it's not a super long game. I want to say it's like a 12-ish hour game, which is perfectly fine for me. Do you know much about this game?
I've never heard of it. I'm not aware.
So it's from Tango Gameworks, same guys that did Ghostwire Tokyo, Evil Within. Now they're under Xbox, so this one is an Xbox exclusive, and it's a rhythm-based game. So it's a combat game, like a linear style level-based combat, and it's the combat you have to do based on a rhythm. So you got music in the background, you're doing things to a beat, like everything is moving to the beat of the song. And if you are in sync with it, with like your combat hits and your combos and stuff like that, you tend to do more damage. And so you kind of just go and you go through these little fighting sections, and then you fight a boss at the end of the level. And I think the whole like premise is you're this kind of like punk kid who gets volunteered to do this experiment at this big corporation. Things go wrong, and then you're trying to escape, which is it's kind of funny. It's very campy to a certain degree, but the art style is amazing. I think that's the standout here, because it's very cartoonish, not like anime, but very animated, cartoony. And I think one of the things that's so amazing about it is the way it goes between like a 2D cutscene to like the 3D animation, like gameplay seamlessly. Like you can't even tell sometimes. It's so beautiful. very well done. Music's good. It's pretty impressive the way they like synced up everything to the beat of all these soundtracks, because like everything in the levels are syncing up to the beat. All the combat syncs up to it. Your enemy attacks sync up to it. It's very. I got to imagine from like a technical standpoint that was very, very challenging.
That sounds awesome.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, it's on Xbox and PC. So I know you dabble in the PC space. So you
that
can
actually
play it there.
You saying Xbox exclusive actually just reminded me that I lied, and Hogwarts Legacy actually is not the only game that I've been playing. It sparked it. I actually recently played through A Way Out with my little brother, and It Takes Two. So the kind of co-op-y split screen kind of games, which It Takes Two blew my mind. Phenomenal. Like,
I've heard so many good things about that game.
Art-wise and just story-wise and just everything to do with that. I was really impressed. Like, I really did enjoy that. Because we were bored and we're looking at Games Pass. We're like, what do we want to play? Like, and we had talked about like we started with A Way Out, which was good, but it was just kind of, it's a little clunky. It's a little too linear for me.
Okay.
Like, and when it comes to that, it didn't feel like I was really playing the game too much. There was like things I had to do and stuff like that, but there wasn't really any like a little bit of exploration or a little hidden things there that here or there. But it was great. It was fun. And then we jumped into It Takes Two, and that game was just it was amazing. Like, it was so much fun. Like, looking forward to like jumping back into the game, and we're like, okay, we finished with this chapter. Let's play for an hour and see how far we can get. So it was awesome. Loved it. Highly recommend that game.
Yeah, I think they just announced too that game sold like 10 million copies, which is insane for like an indie studio like that. So yeah, I've always wanted to try that one. That's definitely kind of been on my radar because I've heard so many good things. And I think it won Game of the Year, was it like 2 years ago or something like that?
Something like that. I think it came out in 2018 or 2019 or something like that. So yeah, it was really cool. And then I only played this for literally less than 2 hours because I was having so many problems with it. But the Sons of the Forest. I don't know what it was, but I loved the first game. It was so much fun, but they released this game in early access, so there'll be a little asterisk next to it, but it was just not running well. Like, it was just like I was running into, like, me and my brother would queue up, play together. We'd get like 20, 30 minutes in, and then I would crash, and then he would crash, and then we'd have to like restart from the beginning. So it was just, I basically played the same 30 minutes over and over and over and over. And I was like, wow, all right, I know it's early access and everything like that, but I'm just going to refund it for now. And then see if they come out with something in a few months or what. Like, but yeah, that was a game that I was really looking forward to, but I got under the Steam 2 hour mark, so I was able to refund it. Okay. It was pretty disappointing what I experienced. So, I mean, everybody's having fun with it. A lot of people that are able to make it work for them, they're having a great time. But for me, it wasn't what I was expecting. So which kind of sucked, but
yeah, that's super unfortunate. Yeah. I remember seeing a bunch of people talk about that game, and that's a survival game, right? Like a survival style. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I've never really been into those games, but I know there's definitely a huge market for it, and a lot of people have fun with it.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, so Hi-Fi Rush, I've been playing that. I will say one of the things and you've played some of the Bayonetta games, right?
Yes.
I feel like we've talked about that.
Yes.
Yeah. So the mission structure is very similar to that. Like, to where you do a level, you kind of go through, they're called choruses, so different sections, and you get graded in the same way, like some sort of like A, B, C, D, S, depending on how well you do. So very similar mission structure to Bayonetta. Actually, there's kind of a lot of similarities between the two, though I think Bayonetta's combat is way better. But yeah, Hi-Fi Rush is on Game Pass too, if you want to try it out.
Yeah, I'm always looking for new stuff lately too. So until we get some the new Star Wars game coming out and Tears of the Kingdom, those two are on my list right now. So I got some time in between that. So
yeah. There's some bangers coming out. I'm looking forward to. I think next week is Resident Evil. Yes, this week by the time you hear the podcast is Resident Evil 4 remake. I'm excited for that one.
I actually saw a video about that today. That it's already getting really good reviews. So
yeah, I saw some of the reviews. It's like 9s and 10s basically across the board unanimously. So that's exciting. I've never actually played Resident Evil 4. Like, it's funny, I've avoided that game for all these years. I think I got the PS4 like remaster version like a couple of years ago, and I always meant to play it, but just never got around to it. So I'm excited for that. And then, have you ever? What about Redfall? I've talked about that game quite a bit. That's an Xbox One.
I have not.
Check that one out. You might find something to like there, because it's a first-person shooter. It is single player or co-op, like drop in, drop out type stuff.
Yeah.
And basically it takes place in like a town of Redfall, and you're like taking down vampires. So it looks cool. And it's done by the same guys who did like Dishonored, Deathloop, that studio. So kind of that art style, which I really like. Those guys make great games. Arcane, I think is who they are.
Okay. That sounds cool. I'll put that on my list.
Yeah, man. I think there's so many good games coming out. So, okay, let's jump into that news item about Naughty Dog, because Neil Druckmann was talking about his next game. And so he had a recent interview with Kind of Funny Games, who I used to love until Colin Moriarty got kicked off that. But I digress there. And he discussed their next game. So one of the things he said is, quote, "I know fans really want The Last of Us Part 3. I hear about it all the time. All I can say is we're already on to our next project. The decision has already been made. I can't say what it is, but that is a process we went through." End quote. So I want to pick your brain. What do you think their next game is going to be?
Part of me, like, I would love for them to do a new IP, something new, fresh. My gut says something Uncharted. It's either something. It's something Uncharted or something The Last of Us related. I think The Last of Us right now is just too popular, and I don't see them going any other direction. So
I don't think it's Uncharted, because I think at some point, I can't remember when, I want to say in the last year, I think Neil Druckmann said we're done with Uncharted, and I think there's going to be a different studio that does an Uncharted. I do think we're getting another Uncharted, because they did like a series. PlayStation did a series of commercials, and one of them had like a girl holding a torch, which is clearly like a reference to Uncharted, right?
Yep.
So I definitely think we're getting one. I saw some rumors that Naughty Dog's next game may be fantasy related, but I'm with you. Like, I want to see them do something new. Like, give us a new IP, new idea, break the mold a little bit. Like, sure, I'll take a Last of Us Part 3, but I can wait. Like, I'm not in a rush for that.
I agree with that.
And so I was trying to think, like, a fantasy style game. Like, would it work in the sense of kind of the linear style gameplay, very narrative, story driven? I don't know. I would be interested. I mean, whatever they do, I'm going to be interested in it, because I love that studio and they do good stuff. But fantasy, I think, would be interesting.
It should be. I mean, whatever it is, it'll have a lot of hype and excitement, and I'm sure it'll turn out great, because they're very good at what they do. They know what they're doing. So I mean, hopefully it's something unique, and it's not Uncharted. It's not an Uncharted 1 through 4 bundle, and with enhanced graphics for $75 for that. So,
I wouldn't be surprised if they do that with Part 2, though.
Oh, they'll do it. They're going to do it.
There's going to be there's going to be a PS5 version. They have to.
They're doing it, and especially, like I said, like The Last of Us is so popular right now. Like with the TV show, I'm seeing videos, and people. This is my favorite thing about the internet right now, because people are making videos like, "You gamers didn't ever tell us that The Last of Us was so good."
Oh,
like,
I've seen
that. Yeah. You guys have been gatekeeping great stories, and I'm like, oh my goodness! Like, no, gamers tell people about how good games are, but people don't want to listen because of the medium that is gaming, and they have a perception. I saw one video that this lady was like, "I thought you guys were just playing like Mario Kart and stuff, and so I just didn't really care." But now I understand that like there's games out there that have like good stories, and I was like, yes, no shit, Sherlock. Like that's where a lot of the gamers are, is the story based games is what people like. A lot of people care about. So I think it's funny. So I think they'll do a re-release of The Last of Us 2 just because of how much hype the franchise is getting right now. So
yeah. Definitely. And I got to be honest, I would probably pick that one up, because I was thinking, and maybe we can talk about this more later, but I kind of want to replay Part 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Go through them again, especially after seeing the show. But then we'll get more into that in a second. Yeah. But If they did a part 3 though, where would you want it to go? And before you answer, from here on out, we're going to be spoiling Last of Us parts 1 and 2. It's inevitably going to happen.
Yeah,
so
you can't talk about it without it.
Yeah, so just tune out if you don't want it spoiled for you. Okay, go ahead.
So I was actually thinking about this in terms of like a sequel, like a part 3. I would love to see, and this kind of also leads into like with some talk for the TV show that we can talk about then when we bring that up. But I would love to see in between 1 and 2, like the time in between the two games.
Yeah, those 5 years,
or even the time between like the start of the first game and where the game like really starts. So like those 20 years that Joel is on the run and doing all these things, and like, so like a prequel. So kind of like a Red Dead Redemption 2, how it's Red Dead Redemption 2, but it's a prequel to the first game. So that's something I would like to see.
I like that idea. Yeah, that would be really, really cool. One of the things I've always wanted to see regarding The Last of Us, because I really don't feel like, unless I've just completely missed it, but I never really feel like they kind of give you a lot of details about the Fireflies. Like the Fireflies are always talked about. They're kind of this, and even in part 2, towards like the very end of that game, like they're going to try to find like the Fireflies in California. I think that's where they are, in California. Yeah. And it's like nothing. Like we never really get to know who these people are, what their mission is. And you don't interact with them. I don't know. I want to see more about how this group came to be, or these different factions of Fireflies. Like, I really want to explore that area. And I love the idea, like that 20-year period between, the pandemic starting and then when Last of Us Part 1 really gets going. I love exploring that idea. And then, I get into the show, but that 5-year period between Part 1 and Part 2, I think would be really interesting to explore as well.
Yeah. So they have a lot of things that they could work with. You can create new stories with that haven't ever been alluded to or anything. So it would be cool. It would be really cool.
Yeah. I'm almost wondering, because I know we still get Last of Us Factions, that multiplayer game, whatever it's going to turn out to be. I think it'll be single player and co-op, is my guess. But I wonder if we're going to get maybe some of those story elements in there to maybe a little bit about the Fireflies, or maybe it takes place in a, that 20-year period or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. Could be
interesting. Are you still interested in Factions?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No. Yeah. When we played back in the day, that was we played forever ago. That was so much fun. So absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it's about time.
I'm very much looking forward to that. Yeah, I'm hoping I did see something floating around, and again, just rumors, but that PlayStation's going to do like a big summer showcase or something around like E3 time. I'm hoping that's the case, because I want to know what's coming out, but I want to know more about Factions. Like, this game has got to be close. I feel like I feel like in 2023, it's got to come around that time. Like, I don't know. It's been in the works for a while. Again,
they might just be playing off the hype of the TV show and just releasing it this year, since it's such a big year for the franchise. So I also agree. I think we see it this year.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. Let's jump into the show. The Last of Us, HBO. And I jotted down some questions we can kind of go through. I didn't know if you wanted to go episode by episode or kind of just pick and choose various things, but let's kick it off. Overall thoughts on the series as a whole, and you can take it however you want. We'll kind of just go from there.
Yeah, so I absolutely loved it. Like, it was an HBO product, and I love I'm realizing now how much I love HBO produced stuff, and it was phenomenal. And the fact that it was we finally got a good video game adaptation in film, TV, like, felt so rewarding. And it was pretty obvious that it would do well as long as they stayed to most of the source material, like the very basic stuff. And that's what made it so good, is they stuck to the source material, but also expanded on little things here and there to increase the quality of the show that you can't really, explore too much with a 9-episode TV show versus a video game that you can kind of deep dive into. But yeah, I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, I'm with you too. I really enjoyed it. HBO does have that quality caliber about all their shows. which is why I liked this pairing between, PlayStation Studios, using the Last of Us property, and then tying that with HBO. That just seems like the perfect match. It's just so fitting because it just screams high quality.
Yeah.
And I think they nailed it. And to your point about staying true to the source material, I think that's one of the things I appreciated about it, is because it did, for the most part, like the main story beats from the game. Now, I'll be honest, it's been a while since I played part 1.
Same.
But from what I remember, it stayed pretty true to the most of that game, at least the biggest points, and especially going up to the ending. I was very surprised that they kept that pretty true to the game, which I think is fantastic. So I really appreciate that. And it is nice to see an actual good video game adaptation.
Yes.
Because I feel like so many times they try to do this, but then they stray away from the source material, or they try to tell their own story, which is, we don't, and I understand that maybe the hesitation to redo a game we've already played. And I think a lot of folks, myself included to a certain degree, was like, okay, we're just kind of retreading old ground. But I think they did it in such a way that really appealed, obviously, to a mass market. I mean,
yes.
God, the numbers are huge. I mean, the numbers are like House of Dragon numbers from Game of Thrones. It's crazy.
And it's crazy because obviously it's the cult following, or the people that are fans of the game, but people that have never played the game were getting into it. Like my mom, who's never touched the game, was like, she'd be texting me like, "Are we watching The Last of Us tonight?" I'm like, yeah, we'll be watching The Last of Us. She's like, I'm loving it. And I was like, see, it's crazy, how well done it actually is, if people that have no idea about the video game or have no ties to it are also enjoying it. So
yes. Yeah. It kind of gets me excited and nervous, and not to stray too far away from The Last of Us, but I know PlayStation, they're talking about doing a Horizon show. I think that's with Netflix, which that has me a little worried. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not optimistic about that one. And then I know they're doing a God of War, which they shouldn't do that.
Pretty sure they're doing a Gears of War.
There's a Gears of War, which I made the joke about Gears of War because I was like, here's what's going to happen with Gears of War, because I think that's also through Netflix. But Gears of War, we're just going to see all the wrestlers. You're going to see Dave Bautista. You're going to see The Rock. Maybe Dom. He'll be Dom.
Maybe you'll see Ronda
John
Rousey.
Cena.
Yep.
Ronda Rousey. You're going to see all the wrestlers just be this, and it's not even going to be Gears. It's just going to be like The Rock and Dave Bautista parading around. I don't want that at all. It sounds terrible. I would rather have them do an anime. That would be
sweet.
Dope.
That'd be sick. And then I also think for HBO, I don't know how true it is, but there's rumors that there's, with the success of Hogwarts Legacy, that there's an adaptation for TV coming as well. So we'll see what they can do with that. But yeah, the fact that it was so well received for gamers and non-gamers, gives me a lot of hope for the future of video game adaptations. So
yes, this is how you do it. Because I think there's been a couple other examples of really good ones. Did you ever watch Castlevania on Netflix?
I did not.
And you like anime,
yes?
Right? So you should watch that, because that's adult, super gory. Yeah. It's good shit. That's
there's that one, and then there's the Arcane that was on Netflix.
I've heard that one's really good. I haven't watched that one.
I watched a little bit. I only gotten 20 minutes of it, but I started slowly watching it. But great reception as well. I think it won a bunch of awards or something like that as well. I could be wrong, but it was well received as well. So
there's a Cyberpunk one too. Edge Runners.
I've heard
that one was good
as well.
Yeah, God, that game is so good too. Anyways. It really is good. It's such a shame that game came out in the shitty state that it did.
Yes.
Because it probably would have won so many awards. So what are your favorite moments from the series? Does anything stick out to you
that first episode? Honestly, the first episode I think out of all the episodes, that was the 10 out of 10 episode for me. I'm not going to give every single episode a 10 out of 10, because then you can't really there's no such thing as the best if everything's 10s. But I give the first episode a 10 out of 10 just because the exploration that they took at the beginning, where they kind of expanded on Sarah and her point of view throughout, because you don't get that in the video game. The intro is fairly quick, from the very start of the game to when the pandemic starts, like, is fairly quick. So the fact that we got basically a full hour and kind of fleshed that whole beginning part out and expanded it more, and got to see Sarah and kind of like the little subtle things here and there about how the infection was spreading and all that kind of stuff, I think was phenomenal. And then the little shots here and there that were like beat for beat with the game, like when Tommy's looking over and then that big house is on fire, or like when he's driving around in the city and it's like in the camera's inside the car. I think the first episode was phenomenal, like so well done.
Yeah, that is a really good episode. I think my favorite part, well, actually, first, I agree. I like that they expanded Sarah's story a little bit, just kind of see what her day looks like, kind of leading up, and you can kind of see the pandemic start to happen. It's like foreshadowed throughout the entire episode, which is really cool. But I think my favorite part in that episode is when she's like looking at the DVDs and you see the old lady in the chair in the background start to like turn, and you can kind of see it. Like it's out of focus. It's very creepy. And I was like, this is awesome. Like, I want more of this. Because I've seen this going around. Do you feel like there should have been more infected throughout the series?
Yeah, I agree with that. I can see both sides of that conversation as well, just because, like, it is a very character-based game, and it's kind of showing, or not game, sorry, show, and it's showing that like the real problem right now is the humans. But yeah, I wish they had added infected a little bit more, just because if you go back to the game, obviously you interact with the infected tenfold, like way more throughout the story, which that's one of my gripes. I have a couple other things on the show that I was a little bit upset about, but overall it was great. So
yeah, I'm with you too. I would have liked to see more infected. I get the kind of the human element of it and trying to, humans against humans and that. And it's kind of, I've seen a lot of comparisons to The Walking Dead as well. Like you kind of get very similar parallels there. But yeah, in the game, I mean, you're constantly fighting them, and there's various different types of infected that you cross. And I think when we did see the infected in there, like I think it was episode 2 I think that was when Tess, we lose Tess and all that. And that one guy, like he kind of kisses her, which is really weird, but that's like, I don't know. But and the clicker was fucking awesome.
Oh
that
my
was so
God.
Good.
As soon as you hear that first little like the click sound, I was like, oh my gosh. Yeah, and like it was all practical too, because it was all like it was prosthetics, it wasn't CGI. Like it was
I think the bloater, I think that guy was all like real too. That wasn't CGI. Which is crazy.
The bloater was insane. Like all of it. Yeah. The way that they portrayed the infected was chef's kiss. It was beautifully done.
Yeah, which is why I hopefully they do more in the coming season or two, because I would have just wanted to see more of it, because it was so well done, and I think it adds a level of like tension and terror.
Yeah.
Even though like Ellie can't get infected or whatever, but Joel still can get infected, and it's very tense.
Yeah, and I back to what you said, how it's been compared to The Walking Dead. I think as somebody who watched The Walking Dead, it was like, I don't know. I think they wanted to separate so they didn't feel like The Walking Dead, because there's zombies in every single episode of The Walking Dead. And if there's too much of the bad thing, it kind of dilutes it a little bit. Like they're going to get out of there, or they're going to, how it's going to end for the most part. So I think they wanted to kind of separate themselves from the post-apocalyptic conversation and being compared to The Walking Dead. So I can respect it, honestly, if they're not, they want to like have their own thing and not be compared to The Walking Dead. I can see why they didn't do so many infected throughout the 9 episodes. Yeah, it was 9 episodes.
Yeah, it was 9. Yep. Yeah. So. Yeah, that's a good point. I can jive with that. So let's just jump right into this question then. Walking Dead or Last of Us TV show?
That's hard. That's really hard, because The Walking Dead is so good until about season 8, 9 after Rick leaves the show.
That's funny. That's when my wife and I stopped watching that last episode. We're done.
It just kind of goes downhill after that, and it just doesn't feel like the stakes don't feel as high anymore. But I don't know. Quality wise, I definitely will have to give it to The Last of Us. But since it's already there's so much expansion and stuff with The Walking Dead, that gets. I think story wise, I think that gets the ribbon or gets the award for that. But I don't know. If there was 8 seasons of The Last of Us, I don't know. I think it would be easier to compare, but it's harder. It's harder too since there's so much Walking Dead content in terms of show than there is The Last of Us. So love them both. Yeah, I love zombie genre kind of stuff or infected pandemic kind of stuff. Love that genre. So love both of them. So
I was thinking about this because I knew it was gonna bring it up, and maybe a slight controversial take, but I got to say, so if we're just talking story on paper, I'm going to give it to The Last of Us because I think that story on paper is incredible. And it was the first time I experienced it, incredibly moving. I love it. It's one of my favorites of all time. But if we're talking just TV shows, if I have just to go off the TV shows, video game aside, I got to give it to The Walking Dead. And that's because, yes, there's more content for The Walking Dead, but I feel like there were so many, when you go through seasons 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's so many amazing jaw-dropping moments that just kind of keep you at the edge of your seat throughout that is just, it's not even close. The Last of Us doesn't even come close to that. And maybe it's because I knew some of that stuff was coming. Maybe it's spoiled for me to a certain degree, but I don't know, that's how I feel.
There was to the point you made that there was so many jaw-dropping. I remember, I think it's the end of season 2, no, it's the beginning of season 3 of The Walking Dead, and Rick reveals to the whole group that they're all infected. And I remember that was you've never heard of that in a zombie apocalypse genre show movie that everybody's infected and that when you die, you're going to come back reanimated. So storytelling on that was the little things here and there that they did that was kind of innovative for zombies and stuff like that was really well done. So, but I still absolutely love The Last of Us though. That doesn't take away from anything that the story or stuff like that from that. Yeah.
Now I was trying to think. So your favorite episode was number 1.
1, 9, and I think it's 8 when Ellie's going against the cannibals. I think that's 8. That was 8. So 1, 8, and 9 are probably my absolute favorites, in that order.
Okay. So. Yeah, I was gonna say I think 8's probably my favorite against the cannibals. I thought that was very well done. A little rushed.
Yes.
But because I think one of the things that's missing from that episode is because in the game, Ellie and what's his name? David, I think it is.
Yeah.
You're in the cabin for a long time and you fight off in waves of infected, all this stuff. So you just spend more time with this guy. And it was very, very brief in the show, which I guess it has to be. But I loved the parallels though. It actually felt like a boss because it is a boss battle in the game when you actually fight him in the burning building and all that stuff. That's so epic, and it felt like that to a certain degree in the show. Everything's burning around you, and she's hiding, and he's talking to it. That was so well done. So I think that's probably my favorite episode out of it though. And I think which episode had the bloater? Was that number 5?
4 or 5? 4 or 5?
I can't. I did write some notes down. Let me see. No, I think it's 5.
5?
Because I think 4.
No, you're right.
Yeah,
4,
they're in Kansas City.
4 kind of hints at a bloater underneath one of those buildings, and then 5 they actually show the bloater. So that's right. 5.
Yep. And 5 is when we get the brothers, Sam, and I forget his other name. I really like that. That because the bloater was really good. And I think what I liked most about it is you started to see Joel and Ellie's relationship blossom.
Mm-hmm.
You finally got to see that a little bit. They're starting to come together. There's a closeness. You can see their bonding. And then, you had the tear of, I forget the militia group or whatever that was in the city kind of running the city, but you had them kind of in the background, but then you also had the zombies, the bloater coming out, and it was a really just kind of epic battle at the end when they were trying to it was tense. It was kind of like that Walking Dead tense, are you going to get eaten by zombies type of thing.
Yeah.
So it was a good one.
Yeah, jumping on that episode too, when the old dude is sniping from the tower or from the top of the building, I was like, that's straight out of the video. Like that is straight out of the video 100%. Game. I was like, I love that.
Now, because when they did the Bill episode, correct me if I'm wrong, but in the game, that sniping section, is that not in Bill's town?
I don't think so.
It's not? Okay. No, I must be remembering that wrong.
Yeah, I think it's its own thing.
Okay. Because I thought that was around when you met Bill in the town. So that's why I was like, I just feel like they separated. But again, it's been a while since I played the game.
Yeah, it's funny because like there was some things I had to like ask my little brother because he's played it more recently than I have. So I was like, that from? I was like, that's from the video game, right? And he's like, yeah. And so like he was kind of my confirmation guy on that. So, but yeah, it was just like the little things that they were doing and saying and wardrobes where I was like, that's out of the video game too. That's out of the video game too. I was like, so
there was a lot of Easter eggs. And did you ever watch so after each episode, HBO I think does this with all their shows, but like the little kind of behind the scenes?
Oh, the behind the scenes in depth kind of stuff. Yeah. I watched those.
I forgot about that stuff till the last couple episodes, but one of the things I think they need to do more is show the parallels between the game and the show.
Yeah,
because I don't think they lean into that enough.
No,
because I've seen videos like IGN or GameSpot or whoever puts those compilations together.
Side,
yeah, like show more of that, because I think as gamers, like it's fun to see that stuff, that it was a true to the game. But then I think for non-gamer folks, it gives them the opportunity to see those parallels and be like, oh, it was really done that way in the video game, and video games can tell these amazing stories.
Yeah, no, I agree. There was I think it might have been end of episode 3. And I had to go back and look, but Ellie gets a sweater from Bill and Frank's house, I believe, or I'm pretty sure that's how it happens. And I was like, that looks really familiar. And then I went back and looked, and it's like the exact same hoodie that she wears in the game. So I was like, a little nod to the game there too. I think that's just awesome. Little Easter eggs here and there.
Yeah, they did a really good job with that, because I think there's multiple times where like it just matches up perfect. Yeah. And I would say another episode that I really enjoyed is episode 7, which is the Left Behind DLC.
Yeah, the mall.
And where they're in the mall, because I think if I remember correctly, that was very, very faithful to that entire DLC, and it goes through like everything, which is incredible, like down to like them dancing, to the masks that they were wearing, like the Halloween store masks, to the carnival or merry-go-round, those things,
carousel,
to the carousel. Yeah, that's what it is. To that moment, to getting infected, and it was just, I thought that was very well done. And I was actually thinking, I was like, because you knew it was coming based on the trailer at some point before the series came out, because they'd kind of teased it. And I was kind of wondering where they would put it. And I actually liked where they put it, because it gives you an opportunity to kind of see Ellie, like get an inside look at her and her history. And I think it was really appropriate where they put that in the series.
I agree. I think putting that too early kind of cheapens it a little bit. That's right. Yeah, cheapens it is what I'm looking for. But like, there's dialogue in the second episode between Tess and Ellie, where she's like says something along the lines of, Tess was like asking her about where she got infected, and she said, "Oh, remember the mall over by whatever?" And she's like, "It was just you," and she's like, "Yep." And I'm like, "You're lying!" Like, people of the game, no, you're lying. And like, but even her delivery really made you like, you could be like, "Oh yeah, she's not being truthful." So the fact that they like kind of planted that seed a little bit very early on, and then revisited it 5 weeks later, like, I think was well done as well.
Yeah, that's a really good catch, because I'd totally forgotten about that. One of the things going into this series that I wasn't sold on Bella Ramsey as Ellie.
I wasn't either,
because I remember from Game of Thrones, and her character in Game of Thrones was awesome. Like, badass character, loved it.
Lady
but
Mormont.
I just was like, I don't know, like Ellie, I just don't see it. But after I think the first episode and kind of seeing that and just watching her throughout the entire series, I was like, she's doing a pretty damn good job. So I got to hand it to her. I think she did a great job.
I agree. I wasn't sold on her off the start. I wasn't like anti her. I was like there's somebody better. Didn't have any.
Sure.
A lot of people, that's the thing too. A lot of people were like, no Bella Ramsey, but didn't have a good alternate option for that. They were just anti her.
Yeah.
but her line delivery, and I was like, those are Ellie lines, like that, like the way she delivered it, and like her cussing and like just her shit talking and everything like that was just like very true to like the character of Ellie. And I was like, okay, she's our Ellie. I'm with it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny too, because isn't she like British or from the UK or something?
Yeah, she's British.
Which is like, because you hear her talk like normal, and it's like, whoa, who are you?
Yeah,
I didn't realize that for the longest time. But yeah, and then I mean, I was more sold on Pedro Pascal as Joel. Like I could see it, but you know, I wasn't like, oh, this is going to be great. But I think he did a pretty good job, and I think it was one of the first trailers where we actually heard him talk, and I forget what line he delivered, but I was like, that sounds like Joel. I was like, okay, I'll buy it.
Yeah,
I think he did a pretty good job.
The line that the dialogue exchange that like really was like, I was like, oh, that's Joel. It was in the first episode when he's talking to that guard that has the pills or whatever, or he exchanges the pills for the cards or whatever it is. But like the dialogue with him, I was like, that's Joel. Like it sounds like him. So we're gonna roll with it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it was so funny that Troy Baker. So he played. I forget the other guy in episode 8.
James, James, or was it Jesse? I can't remember. It's a J name.
James. Yeah, James sounds right.
I think it is James. I think in one of my videos that I made, I accidentally said Jesse, but I meant James. So I think it is James. But
yeah, James, you're right. Yep, James Troy Baker. Okay, there it is. Yeah. But it was so funny, like, because he doesn't have too many lines. But when he does talk, I'm like, I can hear Joel, like it's like from the game.
Yep. That's another little Easter egg that I love, that they implemented Ashley Johnson and Troy Baker into the show.
Yes.
Along with his name's eluding me right now, but the guy who actually plays Joel's brother plays why am I struggling?
Tommy?
Tommy, yeah. So Tommy's voice actor was also in the series as well. So
that's cool. I didn't realize that one.
Yeah, he was the one. So back in the Kansas City episode, the dude with the long beard that was like the bad girl's like right hand man, that's him.
Yeah. That's Tommy?
He gets his head ripped off by the bloater. That's the guy.
I did not realize that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And then another cool Easter egg that people didn't realize until I saw something, I think it was by IGN or something. The voice actor of Abby is actually one of the nurses in the last episode.
I did see that.
Yeah.
I did see that one. Yeah, that's kind of hilarious. Like that's just like you're just toying with fans at that point.
I think it's awesome though that the people that are so involved with the game also get to be involved with the TV show. I think it's a nice little homage.
I think the best though is Ashley Johnson, because it's poetic that she's Ellie's mother. Like that is just perfect. And she did a really good. Her scene is pretty good.
That was a very tense scene, because you don't see that's not something from the video game. They don't really they don't talk about her mom too much or like any of that. And so I think it was cool, and it kind of showed how Ellie's immune too. Like the fact that her mom was bit, she got the umbilical cord, and enough of those cordyceps got into her body or whatever to make the infected think that she's infected. So I think it's awesome.
Yeah, that was really good. So you mentioned you have a couple gripes.
Yes.
About the show.
Yes.
Walk me through that.
Okay. I do as well. So one of them being, I don't know why they did 9 episodes. Like every other big HBO series stuff is usually 10. All the Game of Thrones seasons except for 7 and 8 are 10 episodes. And House of the Dragon was 10 episodes, and like it's a big production show. Like I would expect, especially with so much source material, I would have expected them to do 10 episodes. And along the length was like some of the episodes felt so short. Like I don't know why that we were getting 43-minute episodes. That's 17 minutes of content we could have gotten. So I wish it had been a 10 episode season and an hour minimum per episode, not 43 minutes, stuff like that.
Yeah. No, it's a really good point. I think I read somewhere that it was originally going to be 10 episodes, but I think they like shifted things around to have a longer premiere, like for episode 1, and put more stuff on the front end, and that took away. I don't know 100%, but yeah, I do agree it should be more episodes, because I do. That's probably my biggest. Well, not my biggest, but one of my biggest gripes is that a lot of it does feel rushed.
Yes,
and again, coming from the game, what's the game, like 12 hours, something like, give or take, depending how much exploring.
15, yeah, something like that. I think it's
okay, 12 to 15, something like that. Like, you spend so much time with Joel and Ellie, and you do so many different things. Like, a lot of the major story beats in the episodes, you do those, and those are super impactful and meaningful. But then there's also so much that's not in there that adds to just watching their relationship kind of blossom.
Yeah.
Even if it's just, taking down some bad guys or taking down some clickers, just that they're constantly talking to other, and you see those exchanges that's just not there. And I was worried, leading up to the finale, one, like, how are they actually going to stay true to the game, which they did, thank goodness. Yeah. But then, is it going to mean as much as it does when it in the video game? And again, having played the game, I don't think it did. Like, I don't feel like it landed as hard as the game does, because you don't spend so much time and with those characters and really get to see it kind of slowly blossom over time. So I don't know, man. It did feel a little rushed.
I agree. And then this next thing, I have to preface this is gonna. I already know people will get upset about it. It is what it is. I've been vocal about it. I'm not a hater of the content. I'm a hater. I'll explain why. Episode 3 is what. Oh man, episode 3. Okay, let me say this without getting canceled. If you guys want to try to cancel me, go ahead. I don't really care. But episode 3, beautiful episode. Story wise, beautifully, like the acting, all of that, beautiful. The grand scheme of the show, it felt like a waste of an episode because. Listen, Bill and Frank, again, great characters, great delivery. I'm going to keep prefacing that so I don't get canceled. But the fact that we took an hour to explore this story about two characters that don't really have a giant impact in the grand scheme of everything, where we could have taken, you could have made that part of the story maybe 20 minutes of the episode, like a third of the episode would have been fine. Make it a shorter version, and then take another 40 minutes of that episode to flesh out and create more of the dialogue and stuff between Joel and Ellie. Like, it should have been the show is about Joel and Ellie. Like, the grand scheme of things, it's Joel and Ellie. And so the fact that we took one of the episodes, which again, going back to it only being 9 episodes, one of the very few episodes we're getting, to not really focus on the main characters of the season of the series. So number 3, again, beautiful episode. It for me, it kind of upset me that we spent that much time on two characters that, again, don't play aren't in the grand scheme of the show and of the content as well. So
yeah, I'm going to piggyback off that, because my other major gripe is, and maybe people are going to have contention with this, but that's fine. It is what it is. I understand there's a lot of, gay romance in The Last of Us, which is fine. Like, I don't care. Like, I already knew about that stuff. I've played the games. I got it. That's not a big deal. But when it was translated over to TV, you can just clearly see the implementation of diversity checkboxes.
Yeah.
From episode 3, like, again, to your point, like, I don't care about, I don't really care about Bill and Frank. I mean, they were fine characters. I think it was a nice little story. It was drawn out. It's actually, I was looking up the runtimes for each episode. It's the second longest episode. And all that time is spent on two characters who ultimately don't really matter.
Spoiler alert, they die.
Yeah.
They die in the same episode.
And they take away from a really good moment, because I saw someone put a clip of it from the game between Ellie and Bill, where, like, Ellie's like, she goes after him with the knife, and he's like, "Who is this little girl? Like, what are you doing, Joel?" Like, that's a great, like, I would love to see that dynamic, especially with who's the guy that played Bill, like that. He's a great actor. I love him. I forget his name. Nick Offerman.
Nick Offerman.
Yeah. To be able to see that dialogue and interaction between, like, Nick Offerman and Bella Ramsey, that would have been so good.
We were robbed.
You wasted it. Yeah, robbed of it.
Yeah.
And it's like the whole point of Bill, ultimately, and maybe there's some, like, super meta movie type stuff there, but ultimately it's give Joel his truck and get some supplies so they can get their ass on the road. And it's like we got 70 minutes of this love story that, I don't know, I really don't feel like it added anything. I feel like it took away from what is most important, because the story of The Last of Us is between Joel and Ellie, at least part one. And so that's just one example. Another example is Sam, I think the younger brother. In the game, he's not deaf. He can talk, and he's deaf in the show. I don't really feel like that. I have nothing against deaf people, but like I don't feel like that added anything. Like he can't talk, and I think what that robs us of is because there are nice moments in the game where Ellie and Sam are actually they interact with you. You kind of see them be kids together, and you kind of see that in the show. But because they can't really communicate, you kind of almost are robbed of that. And towards the end, they have the nice little moment where they're writing each other notes on the little pad in the show. But I just feel like it would have been so much better if he wasn't. And that kid, I think, to his credit, he did a great job.
Yeah,
I think he played the character very well, and that's a really touching moment within that episode. But I don't understand that. And then I noticed, I think it's Tommy's wife or fiance in Jacksonville, I think, or Jackson Hole. They race swapped her. And it's fine. It's not a big deal, but it's like, why? Like, I just don't. Some of these decisions, I don't feel like it adds to anything.
That's the other thing too. As a person of color,
just tell me, please.
It's kind of like, not to get like political or anything, but it's kind of pandering.
Yeah.
It's just you're just doing it to do it. Like you're not. It doesn't really take away from the story or anything, but like you're just checking some boxes. So I don't know. It just doesn't. I don't see it as like, oh my gosh, like this is the greatest thing ever in cinema. Thank you, or whatever in media. Thank you for doing that. It's just kind of like you're just doing it to try and get that reaction out of us as like, oh, thank you for doing that. But did the opposite, at least for me and my brother, we're both mixed, and so we kind of both caught that. We're like, I mean, cool, whatever, but it doesn't, like, I don't feel gratification from it or anything like that. So I agree with you on that as well.
Yeah, I just don't. We see so much of that, like with Hollywood, and it's like you kind of expect it, but like you can tell it's so fake. A lot of times, like it's literally
not genuine. It's not genuine.
That's a great way to put it. It's not genuine.
It's one thing if the actress for her character was the best out of anybody that came in. That's one thing. Yeah. That's totally fine. And then maybe she's the best actress for it, and then they rewrite that a little bit, change that. But I'm not buying with how things are in Hollywood and TV and everything like that. I'm not buying that she was the number one best option for that role. So yeah. So no, I fully agree with you on that. Like, it's just, I don't know. But even on like obviously they changed some things, but there's also some things that they changed from the game to the show that worked well. Like the fact that it's not spores in the game and it's fungus because like, do we need another show in 2023 where Pedro Pascal is wearing a mask? No, I don't think so. I don't think we need to. Yeah. I think we're fine with the Mandalorian, but like, again, like in the game, you're taking it off, putting it on, taking it off, which doesn't take away from everything, but like TV show, I think would get a little bit much. So that's something I did enjoy was that. Again, I
thought that was a good deviation.
The dive into Sarah's character at the beginning of the first episode more and stuff like that. I think and then
Ellie's mom, I think that was a nice
Ellie's
addition.
Mom also done really well.
That's good. Yeah. So. And then I know in the Kansas City, they had the lady who's kind of leading that group. Yeah. I think she was a brand new character.
Oh yeah, she was brand new.
That totally fit in.
Yeah.
So
no, I agree. There's pros and cons to the stuff that they did. So, but so those were my gripes. I think mostly because I gave the show a 9 out of 10. Had those other things been changed, it would be a 10 out of 10. But because of those, what was changed for what it would, like the things that were changed and how it affected and impacted the story and stuff like that, dropped a point. But still,
yeah. So you watched it with your mom, I assume.
Yeah, I watched it with my mom and my brother. Yeah.
Okay. And your mom hasn't played the game, clearly.
Yeah, she's not a gamer.
I'm curious. Are we able to kind of get like her perspective on the show? Like, what does she think of it? What does she think of the ending? I think maybe is the biggest question I'm curious.
So she actually hasn't seen the last episode yet. She was actually out of town, so she hasn't seen the last episode yet. So I told her to watch it. I'd watch it with her this weekend, but she was loving it. Like she started tearing up in the Sam episode where little kid turns. Like she started tearing up on that one. What else? Because she actually came down partway through the first episode. Like she wasn't like, oh, let's start watching this. She just happened to wander in while me and my brother were watching it, and she was glued to the TV as soon as she started watching it. So I could tell she was from what I could tell, she was really enjoying it.
Sucked in.
Yeah. And she was like asking me some questions and stuff like that. And she asked me like, how popular is the video game? Like, cause she's even from people at her work, they were talking about the TV show. And so she kind of could like talk about it too. Cause she'd seen most of it at that point.
Yeah.
And, she was like asking questions like, how big is the game? Like all this kind of stuff. I was like, it's very popular. Like that. Yeah. I was telling her, and I was like, a lot of this stuff is true to the game. And I was like, I told her that's why it's doing so well, is because they stuck true to most of the source material. So yeah, she was very interested with it. So
yeah, that's cool. Yeah. So I was trying to talk to my wife has seen the ending. Like we watched the ending together, and I was trying to gauge because I remember when I finished The Last of Us when it came out in 2013, after I beat that game for the very first time, getting to that ending, I was like, my jaw dropped. I was like, this is it. That's how it ends. I couldn't believe it. Yeah. And it's such a poetic ending because it leaves it very open. There's some interpretation you can do there. And it's such a shocking moment to, a selfish moment that Joel does, and he wants a daughter, and screw the rest of the world. He's going to do it for himself and all that. And I think a lot of us can relate to that, but it's just so shocking. And then the way he lies to her about it it's like mind-blowing to a certain degree, because they've built up so much trust throughout the entire game. Then that happens, and it's like, whoa. And then it ends. And I just, even to this day, like I remember when they were talking about part 2, and they were teasing it, like, what was this, 2018 or something like that? You kind of knew they were working on part 2, like it was coming. We hadn't seen anything yet. And I just kept thinking to myself, I was like, we don't need this, because I feel like that game is so perfect by itself. Obviously we got it, and it's definitely kind of, I don't think it's changed my love of the first game, but it's certainly changed my perspective on some of it. Yeah. Because obviously it's been expanded upon and stuff. But so like I have such strong emotional attachment and fond memories to the game and that ending, and try to gauge my wife, because obviously she hasn't played the game. Yeah. And I just don't really feel like it impacted her the same way. Like she's like, oh, I didn't see that coming, but that was kind of it. Like there wasn't the same emotions that I had. So I'm curious, like for more people, like do they also, who haven't played the game, how did the ending affect them?
There's this YouTube channel called Real Rejects. So they do reaction stuff, and they did it was genius. So they have 2 main people that are usually on it, and they react to different content. So one of the 2 that are the main guys has never played The Last of Us. So what they did is they broke it into 2 people, him and another friend, that have seen the series versus 2 people that have never seen the series. So they go in depth at the end of the reaction and kind of explaining all their feelings and thoughts. So that might be a video you might be interested in, just because like they have 2 different reactions, right? First reaction is the people that have played the game, and then second reaction is the people that have never played the game. So those are my favorite ones to watch, because they don't have any insight of the game. So they go in for like probably 30 minutes talking about the end of the episode. So I think that might be something you're interested in, just because they kind of give their feelings of the last episode, which, man, that last episode definitely felt like the hospital scenes felt more brutal than in the video game. I don't know what it is. Maybe just because it's live action and it felt more realistic. It was brutal. And like just Joel's dialogue too, especially when he like walks into the hospital room and is like, unhook her, and the doctor like puts up the knife. And like in the game, you can kind of stall, like you can like sit there and whatever, but he just pops the doctor right up, like boom, no hesitation. And then same with Marlene, where she's like, no, let me go, and he's like, you'll just follow her, and pops her. And I was like, oh my god, I was like, oh my goodness, like this feels like way more brutal. Like it's the source material, but like it just feels in this medium, in this way that it's portrayed, it feels a lot more, again, brutal. harder to watch.
Yeah, I would agree, and it's dark. Yes. I think that's how I would describe it. It's very, very dark, and you can kind of see just this change in Joel, which I think is so amazing in the way they portrayed it. Because he's just like, nope, this is what I'm doing. No one's stopping me, and I'm gonna go save my girl.
Yep.
And it's just so incredible. And yeah, it is very, very brutal. It's gruesome, and that. So I haven't told my wife anything about part 2, but just knowing like when they go in the hospital, and when he pops the doctor, it's like what happens. Yep. I feel like if you played part 2, like what that means, and it's like holy shit, like that. So many people don't even know what's going to happen, but how big of a moment that was. Like that's all I could keep thinking about.
The butterfly effect that is that moment, the repercussions of that, I should say. So.
Yeah, that how it's so funny to think about that. It's slightly related, but also slightly off topic. Is I saw someone post a gameplay video of that section and that ending, but they brought in a flamethrower. Flamethrowing all the doctors.
I see that same video.
Oh, it's so good. But oh man, yeah, that ending. I was also really liked how at the very they cut to black right after she says okay, like Ellie, like okay, and then it's cut to black, like just like the video game, like it was perfect. Like I'm so glad they didn't drag it out or anything like that. It was just like almost shot for shot, and I really appreciate that.
I was just thinking another thing that kind of I wish we had gotten in the show is I wish Joel had made a shiv or something, or like crafted, like brought that element a little bit somewhere, like.
That's
having not necessarily like that be the whole thing where you have to like find and scavenge stuff, but like use a bottle or like or like a brick or like scavenge and make a shiv or something. But I mean, for the most part, he always had weaponry on him, so it's not.
Yeah,
I mean, it's give or
that's
take,
a good point.
But that would have been so sweet. But like little things when I think it was the last episode, and he had to hoist Ellie up to get the ladder. I was like, video game.
100%. Yes. Yeah. And then the giraffe scene, which is like so it's such an iconic moment from that game. And I think they did a really good job. I think I saw a little clip too where the sign in the background was like, it said the exact same thing as it does in the game, like a perfect replication.
Yeah, it was the giraffe scene was awesome, especially being from Salt Lake. So like the fact that the game ends in Salt Lake, I was excited about. And I was like, okay, let's see, like, because in the game, it's not like the way they portray Salt Lake isn't very like accurate. Like some of the stuff isn't placed correctly. But in that scene where they're showing there's a hotel with the sign that's falling down that says Laza on it. It's called the Plaza Hotel. Know exactly where that is. And then there's this giant like skyscraper building which is placed in the right spot. The only thing they were missing from that landscape, honestly, was the Mormon temple, but I'm sure they took it out for a reason. But other than that, I was like, that's Salt Lake. Like that's
awesome.
There's a little bit of like consistency problems because the zoo is fairly far from where they're at. But it's not, that's not a big deal at all. But I was like, wow, like finally seeing Utah represented in some sort of media is something small, but I think it's cool because they got a lot of it correct. So,
one of the things I think is a missed opportunity is in episode 8 when Ellie's going out on her own, no bow and arrow. Like that's when she gets the bow and arrow. That was the other thing too. Like that, come on, man. And maybe it doesn't work in TV or something, but still, like at least a little nudge or pay homage to it.
I wonder if maybe they even did try the bow and arrow and just Bella Ramsey couldn't get the bow and arrow stuff down. Maybe, I don't know, but
maybe, yeah.
No, I agree.
Like that would have just been just a missed opportunity because I was waiting for it because I knew the winter scene was coming up, and she shot the bunny, which with that with the gun, but still like that was pretty on point with the video game. But it was a bow and arrow. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
So
no, I agree.
Yeah. So, okay, season 1 wraps up. We know we're getting season 2, and I think Neil Druckmann, he said it's going to be part 2. Like they're going into part 2, and I even think the other writer, who's like the TV writer guy, I forget his name, has said that part 2 will go over a couple seasons, or at least 2 seasons, which makes sense. It's a long game. So how do you think they're going to do it? Because they're going to change up some stuff in theory, kind of like what they did. But
I'm pretty sure Neil Druckmann also said that they're going to stay true to the beginning of the second game. Spoiler alert. There's some stuff. I don't know if we already actually gave a spoiler alert on game 2.
Yeah, no, we did. We did. You did say it.
Okay, so again, spoiler alert for part 2 of the game. If you don't want to know and you've made it this far, now is your time. You can probably click off. But obviously Joel dies in the first act of the game. He said that they're going to stay true to it, but Pedro Pascal is such a moneymaker. I'm really curious if they're going to change that to where maybe Joel still dies later, but then again, that kind of takes away from the plot. Like, Ellie's whole thing is, let me go find Abby and get revenge for killing Joel. So, I don't know. Again, and they'll probably drag out Pedro Pascal. I think so. I don't think his death will be in the first episode. I don't even think it'll be in the first 2 episodes. It'll probably be the 3rd episode, realistically. But yeah, they'll probably make part 2 probably 2 or 3 seasons, honestly, just because there's so much, and you have the whole side of Abby's section of the game that they can make. So, and I would be curious to see if like the season 1 is Ellie, or season 1 of part 2. So season 2 technically is Ellie. Season 3 is Abby, and then season 4 is like all this like Ellie part 2, and then like the stuff where Abby gets captured and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know. I think that's one way they'll do it, but you never really know.
Yeah, it's also one of the reasons why I want to go back and play part 2, because that game is not an easy game to play. Like it was very hard for me to get through that game. It's very emotionally draining.
Yes.
And there's some moments like where I was like, this is hard to watch because it's so intense. But about Pedro Pascal, he is a showrunner, man. Like he's so big right now.
Yeah.
Mandalorian, he's got that. I mean, the guy's
on Game of Thrones when he was on. Like people were loving him on Game of Thrones when that was out. Like he's in the spotlight right now, and he will be for a while. It's like him, Jenna Ortega, and Jonathan Majors. Those are the 3 right now that are like in the spotlight. So they're gonna be in everything. So his paycheck is. I saw something he got like $600K an episode, which is insane. Which is even funnier because there's an episode where he's laying on a mattress the entire time. Like the entire time he's laying on a mattress. He got paid $600,000.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. Yeah, I don't think he's gonna get killed off right away. I would actually love, because I know in part 2 of the game there's definitely some throwbacks, some kind of older scene, like the one of the best ones is when they go to that museum and then they in the spaceship they go pretend fly to the moon, which they allude to in the first season. I like that because they talk about going to the moon, which was so beautiful foreshadowing. So I'm wondering if they do maybe some of those scenes in the first episode or 2 just to get Pedro Pascal in there, and then like you're saying, I think they got to keep that because that's the whole premise of part 2, which is going to be tough. But I was actually thinking while you were talking, I was thinking about this because one of my gripes with part 2 was the way it was structured. Because, you do the opening moments and then you do 3 days with Ellie in Seattle. Then you do 3 days with Abby, those same 3 days, but from Abby's point of view. And then, you do a little bit of Ellie, then you go back to Abby, and you kind of just go back and forth after that. And you interact between these 2 characters and you see them fight like a couple times, if I remember correctly. And I think that'll be easy to adapt to TV because a lot of times in TV shows you jump around, right?
Yeah.
And so I think what they can do is that I think they can actually have both of those 3 days, however they want to cut it up, but they can show them simultaneously. And I wouldn't, like, if you were to break it up between 2 seasons for part 2, I think what you could do is have season 1 end in the fight in the theater between Abby and Ellie, like that first fight when they finally meet up and they're, beating each other up, trying to kill each other. And then I guess it'd be season 3 could start with Ellie at the farm with Dina.
Yeah.
And they got the kid, and you kind of do that section, then you go back to Abby and kind of finish it up to where it's that big finale for season 3 between Ellie, Abby, and we all know how that plays.
Yeah.
Which that is, I still think about that ending. Yeah. Like, how did you feel about that ending?
That was like, I love when a media piece can make you feel something. So like a movie, a TV show, a game, like actually like there's real emotion that you're feeling while you're consuming the content. I have never, like, that one hurt. Like that hurt. Like watching that was rough. So it was very heavy. It was like, I remember after I finished the game, I just kind of like sat there. And I was
you kind of just sulk in your chair and you're like, what the hell just happened to me?
Oh my God. And I'm like, comparing it to like the feeling of like the end of the first game versus the end of the second game. I'm just like, these are night and day. Like, at the end of game 1, you're like optimistic and all that, everything. And then after the end of game 2, you're just kind of drained, essentially. Cause it's like it's
emotionally draining.
The entire game is emotionally draining. It's not just like, there's little like tiny little bits and pieces. It's pretty all emotionally taxing. So
definitely. Yeah. I remember, I think one of the things that sticks out to me is you expect revenge to actually happen and you never get it. And leaving you with that is so hard. And I think, again, I want to replay it to see if I still feel this way. But I also kind of feel like they left Ellie in such a shitty position.
Yeah.
And it's poetic to a certain degree because like she can't play the guitar because she lost her finger, a couple fingers, and she lost Dina and their kid together, and it's just like she's just like she has nothing now. And after she went on this tirade or journey or whatever you want to call it, and it's like I thinking about part 3, like I don't know where you go from there on that.
Yeah.
Like what?
How do you explore further after? Like there's not. I don't see how you can explore on that. It would have to. I definitely think it would have to be a prequel or like a prequel to the game 2, whether it's in between 1 and 2 or a prequel to the first. You know what I'm saying? Like, I agree with you. I don't know how to explore that just because, again, like that ending, like you said, you're wanting revenge, but you don't get it. It's like an itch you can't scratch that you're never going to be able to. And by that time, where you want revenge, you kind of feel, I don't know if you did, but I felt bad for Abby at that point. I was like,
sure. Like
at the end of the game, I was like, oh my God, like she's malnourished. She's beaten, like her head shaved, like stuff like that. Like she's been through the ringer, and you're just like, I don't want to add to what I'm already, like the emotional stress I'm already feeling. And so I don't know. I don't know how you would make a part 3 with that story unless it's a spinoff. Same time frame, but who knows what they'll do, or if they'll even do it.
Yeah, it's so funny that you talk about feeling bad for Abby because like you do, and I think it's intentional, right?
Yeah,
you see all the shit that she goes through with whatever that California gang is. I can't remember their name. This is not the Fireflies, but there's something else. But yeah, just seeing everything she went through from that, and then to just be left like you don't get that satisfaction at the end to where like you can walk away like you feel good. You're kind of just left like you just got beat up or something.
Yeah,
like emotionally beat up for like 30 hours as you play through this game. It's really something special. It's funny like thinking back about that game, like, and all the controversy. For some of it, I think some of it was warranted. A lot of it wasn't. But it's really something special. Like it's such a high quality game, very well done. Man, could you imagine like? So if they keep those main story beats and let's say they end whatever season they get to that way with, Ellie doesn't get a revenge, lets Abby walk, she's left with nothing, and that's it. Could you imagine like how is the casual audience going to react?
The casuals are going to, oh my gosh, they are going to lose it. And then everybody's going to be like, welcome to pain.
Yeah,
now we've
been here since 2020.
Yeah, we've been here for the last, at that point, it'll probably be 5 years. But
5 years. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Like they're going to lose it. I don't know. I almost feel like people might not like the adaptation of game 2, like the casual people, just with the tone of it, because people are like, oh my god, Pedro Pascal, Bella Ramsey, like it's game one is a lot. It's not a happy game, however, it's lighter toned than part two. You know, like very tonal differences. But yeah, I think they might feel a certain way about it. They might it might hit people a little bit differently, the casual audience, just because of how dark it really is.
Yeah, man. Yeah. You know, one of the things I was thinking about, because they did confirm Bella Ramsey is going to come back as Ellie, which I think makes sense.
Yeah.
But it's 5 years. And like when you look at Ellie from game one and Ellie in game two, like you can tell she's grown up quite a bit.
Yes.
I don't know how they make Bella Ramsey look more grown up.
Movie magic, prosthetics. Who knows? Give her some tattoo. I mean, she gets the tattoo.
Yeah, you got to have the tattoo. It's pretty dope. I know for this, they did young her down, like, because I think she was wearing like to flatten her chest and stuff. You know, they did some of that stuff. So maybe they shouldn't have to do that for part two. But just her face, because she has such a young face.
Yeah, she's got a baby face. I think she's only like 20 years old in real life. So
like 19 or 20. Yeah. So I don't know. It'd be interesting to see how they age her a little bit, because they're going to need to, for sure.
100%. I don't know if, again, the casual people probably won't care too much, but like the game people will, you'll be able to notice. Like I know as I will, if they don't age her up or like do whatever they got to do, film wise to make that happen, lighting, whether it's prosthetics, whatever it is, like it'll feel a little bit weird. Because she looks young. She doesn't even look 20. She's like 16 in real life. Yeah. So seeing a 16-year-old do all the stuff that a 19, I don't even remember how old she is in the second.
I think she's
like
19
or 20. Yeah. Just looks wise, it's not quite there. She is 20, but she just doesn't look 20.
So. Doesn't look it. Yep. Yeah, it's gonna be so, because I think they're gonna start filming and writing and stuff soon. So I don't know, man. It's gonna be interesting.
Should be very.
I really gotta
very, very cool.
I gotta replay it. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, I want to play the games. I want to, especially part one, because it's been. I don't think I've played part one since probably the PS4 version. That remaster came out. So it's been 8 years, give or take. It's been a long time. So I want to replay that, especially with the context of the show, just to like, get the comparisons, the show's fresh in my mind, can, see the differences, just would be good. And then, I kind of hope they do a PS5 version of the part two, just because I think it'd be fun to go back and play it with, updated visuals and all that stuff.
Yeah.
That'll happen. I'm pretty sure of that. Okay. So do you have any closing thoughts on the Last of Us show?
No, I think I know. Pros and cons.
Anything we didn't touch on? Yeah. Okay.
Anything we didn't touch on? No, I mean, we talked about the little cameos here and there, our loves, or all that kind of stuff. I think we nailed everything. Honestly, I don't think there's anything.
Okay.
I remember when you asked me to do this, I was like, okay, I know the talking points that I want to make sure that I.
As long as you got them in,
I got in, and I got them in. So.
And I don't think it would be canceled. And you'd be fine. You'd be all right.
If people tried to cancel me, I wouldn't care. And that's how you avoid being canceled. That's how you get around being canceled.
Yes. So let me leave you with this, or ask you this, is kind of close it up. So we know Last of Us is arguably one of the best gaming adaptations ever, if not the best.
Yeah.
What other franchises or games would you want to see happen in a similar fashion?
Are we talking, does it have to be live action, or does it have
doesn't have to be live action?
I would absolutely love, considering this is kind of a Disney property, a Kingdom Hearts TV show.
Okay. Yeah.
I would love it in the animation style of like Illuminate, like if Illumination came on with Disney. I don't know how that would work, but like that style. So like the Despicable Me or the Mario movie coming out, like that type of animation.
Yep.
I would love that, but I want a Legend of Zelda something. I would love a Legend of Zelda something, which we can say this for another time, but like the fact that we're getting a Mario show, I think my gut feeling says they're going to try to do an MCU, but
with Nintendo
with Mario.
characters.
So and then hear me out. And then the Avengers version of that, Smash Brothers.
Smash Bros.
Smash Bros.
That okay.
something like that would be phenomenal.
I could be on board with it. Look, the Mario movie looks amazing. I think it looks incredible. I'm so excited for it because I'm gonna take my son to it. He's excited for it because he loves it's the same guys that did Despicable Me. He loves Despicable Me, so it's like right up his alley, and so it's gonna be awesome. And I've said this before, but I think what's so exciting for me is like growing up, NES, Nintendo, loving Mario all these years. Now I get to share that with my son, right? As one day you'll be able to do with your kids. So it's so exciting, and that movie's gonna make so much money. It's not even funny how much money that movie's gonna make.
If Despicable Me can make like $2 billion every single time it comes out, or over $1.5 billion every single time, because there's like 3 Despicable Me movies, and then there's like 3 Minion movies, and they've all done over $1 billion basically. If those can make $1 billion off of that from that studio, imagine what an already established IP and beloved IP as Mario will get as well. So that might be the first movie to make $3 billion. Like that, it's going to be absurd. So
that's super looking forward to that. It's only a couple weeks away too.
Yeah,
like April 5th, I think. So we already got our tickets. Are you going to go see it right away?
Oh, I'm absolutely with what I'm doing in terms of like YouTube and short form content where I'm talking more TV reviews and stuff. I have to go day one. Like
you gotta, that's great.
I'm really excited for that, and I'm excited for that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie coming out this year. So,
that new animated one.
Yeah.
I got to say, I'm not looking forward to that one. I saw the trailer; doesn't appeal to me.
Oh, I'm excited. I love Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
I grew up with the Turtles, like the OG Turtles, like the cartoon. Love it. And they did the live action ones, like what is it? I don't know, 5-10 years ago or something, fairly recently, and those were, I don't know, not really my thing. But I love it. I don't know. I like the animation style of the new one. It kind of feels like it's got some of those diversity checkbox stuff in there a little bit.
Understandable.
So I don't know. I mean, maybe it turns out to be good. I don't know, but I'm not a big Seth Rogen fan in terms of like his content.
Yeah,
I like him as an actor. Like he does some funny shit, but I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. I'll have an open mind. We'll see how reviews go. Maybe you can let me know once it comes out.
I mean, the thing I'm excited about is that the turtles are actually being played by teenagers. So like the voice actors,
that is cool,
which is dope. Yeah. And then the animation style is borrowed from or inspired by
Spider-Verse, right?
In Spider-Verse. So
yes,
should be exciting.
Yeah, and I love that. That's a really cool animation style. I'm starting to see more of that come up in like some of these animated movies, which is. It's a really cool, unique art style that I really appreciate. Isn't the second Spider-Verse coming out? That looks
it comes out.
The first one was awesome.
Part one of the new one comes out, I believe, in like August or September or something.
Oh, okay.
Later second half of this year. So
nice. Yeah, the first one that movie was awesome. It was phenomenal.
Really good. Music, the art style, the multiple different art styles because they use like 6 different styles of art, and so
that's crazy.
It should be exciting. So.
Yeah. So if I was thinking about franchises I'd want to see adapted, I would also stay away from live action. I just don't think it works in a lot of video game stuff. However, if I were to do a live action, I'll pick 2 here. The first come to mind. Days Gone is one that kind of plays into the zombies. Yeah. It takes place in kind of my home state, I guess, of Oregon. Which is, you never see that in video games. That's why it's exciting. So I think that'd be, you could do it in the Walking Dead style, I think, with that game, but play up the hordes more because that's what the game's all about. So fighting off these huge hordes, but then there's also the scientist guy that's in the game, like this kind of Nero, I think they're called. So I think you could really explore that. It really isn't explored, I think, in the game, which I think would be cool. And it's got that I forget that guy's name who plays in it. He's a really good actor. Days Gone actor. Sam Witwer. Yeah. Okay. He plays a bunch of stuff.
Sam. He's Darth Maul, isn't he?
Yes.
Yeah, he's Darth Maul.
And he's in the Force Unleashed games.
Yeah, he's older games. Starkiller.
Yep, Starkiller. Yeah, he's done a bunch of stuff. He's great.
He's a phenomenal actor.
Like, just have him do it because it's literally that character is modeled after him. So I think that would be cool if you were to do a live action one, even though I know that game was kind of hit and miss with a lot of people, which for good reason. But then I know they're already doing a Horizon show, But if I were to dictate how this Horizon show would go, I would have it be animated, and I would have it cover, because the game doesn't cover this, but the period where they're kind of creating the Zero Dawn project and the world is dying, like the post-apocalyptic, what is that, 1,000 years before you actually start playing the actual game.
Yeah.
Show us that, like the original, what's her name? Like Sarah, but the original character that you're cloned after. I mean, I guess that's a spoiler